I had new neighbors with children recently move into both the apartment above mine and the apartment across the hall from mine. So I'm hoping I can finish up filming this review without any major disruptions caused by shrieking or jumping. These are the downsides of apartment living, I guess. But let me talk a bit about Fundamentally by Nussaibah Younis. This is the first book I've picked up off of the Women's Prize for Fiction longlist. It has since made the shortlist, and that is something I'm really pleased to see because I think this book does pull off the very difficult task of blending humor with very serious social commentary and international affairs. Fundamentally is a dark comedy about an academic named Nadia who is called by the UN to implement a program to rehabilitate ISIS brides in Iraq. She's called by the UN to lead this program because she has written a paper that theorizes about how one might go about doing this. So now she gets to put it in action. But she's a little underprepared for what that on-the-ground work is going to entail. And I think Nussaibah Younis is really well equipped to talk about this thorny subject with empathy and also an eye towards the absurdity of it, because she has direct experience doing the type of role that Nadia is doing in this book. Nadia, at the beginning of this story, is dealing with a recent sudden breakup with her long-term girlfriend. She has also been estranged from her mother for many years after Nadia has disavowed the Muslim faith, and Nadia and her mother are sort of in the awkward stages of rekindling that relationship when Nadia heads out to Iraq to work on this program. The first third of this book is largely centered around getting this program off the ground and the ridiculous bureaucracy and politicking that Nadia encounters trying to get alignment and approval from various external and internal agencies. The remainder of the book is more so focused on the implementation of the program itself at a camp where these women affiliated with ISIS are being held. And in particular, Nadia is drawn to one 19-year-old girl, Sarah, who is originally from East London and is already a 3-time ISIS widow. Sarah reminds Nadia of herself, and she creates this mirror for Nadia to think about how her own life might have turned out differently if she made a few different choices. I thought there were some really great passages in this book talking about religious fundamentalism, about what it means to help someone who doesn't want to be helped, and about the challenges, the corruption, and the ineptitude found in aid programs like this one produced by large umbrella organizations. I really personally preferred when the book focused on those macro themes compared to some of the more personal themes of personal heartbreak and broken relationships with one's mother. It's not that I didn't like those more personal themes, but I think I felt a little bit frustrated by how naive Nadia was and how much she allowed her personal history to color her professional actions. It really started to stretch the limits of belief. I think if the final acts of the book had been a little bit more deeply fleshed out, if we'd lingered on the moral grayness present in those macro topics a little bit longer, this book could have hit that 5-star rating for me. As it was, I think this landed at a 4-star read for me. So still really strong, and I'm glad to see that it recently made the shortlist. I don't know if I've read a book, fiction or nonfiction, that really directly talks about this subject matter or really more broadly the concept of de-radicalization or the inner workings of peacekeeping programs. I think that uniqueness in the content is a huge point in this book's favor, and it's really cool to see this book take off, because my understanding is that the author deliberately chose to write fiction instead of nonfiction as a way to reach the widest audience possible, and I think she really succeeded with that here. In terms of books with a similar tone or sense of humor, I have seen the comparison to The Bandit Queens by Parini Shroff already a couple of times, and I agree with that comparison, not just because both of those covers have cartoon eyes on them, though I am curious about what's happening there with the marketing, but because they both use humor going as far as farce to soften and support deeper themes about religion and gender and female friendship. I will say though that I thought a lot of Fundamentally*'s funniest moments were really focused on bureaucracy, political and organizational bureaucracy, and that opens the door to a lot of other comparisons too, though I'm not sure that I've seen that aspect directed at peacekeeping organizations like it is in Fundamentally. So given that, I do want to say, if anyone watching has recommendations for books that are similar to Fundamentally in its themes or its approach, even nonfiction, right? I would love for you to leave those in the comments, because I think I could use some more similar reads on my bookshelf. I do also want to recommend the audiobook for this, narrated by Sarah Slimani. This seems like it would be a very challenging book to narrate because you need the comedic delivery and you also have a very international cast of characters, and I thought she did an excellent job with the character accents. But overall, I thought this was a really unique and ambitious novel. I think it leveraged humor as a tool for creating a way into talking about complex social issues, and I really thought its execution, while not perfect, was really well done, and it brought lightheartedness but also sensitivity and sharp commentary to matters of religion and morality and the difficult choices that these organizations and on-the-ground agencies need to make. I don't know if Nussaibah Younis has any plans to write another novel, given that this one was so specific to her direct experience, but if she did write another one, I'd be interested in checking it out. So please let me know in the comments if you've read Fundamentally already, and if so, what you thought of it, and thank you for watching.